Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our live broadcast. Tony again here. We have a great guest in Toni Cunningham for Per Scholas. I struggle to say that, but Per Scholas is a technology school here in town, and we're going to learn all about that today and talk about the need for technology workers. So let's start by doing this, just a basic, if you can give a little depth overview of exactly who you guys are.
Sure. So Per Scholas is an IT training program that has been around. We've been in existence since 1995 in the Bronx, New York. We're a national organization. And we came into the Columbus market in 2012. So it's been really great to be a part of an initiative where we take individuals, many of whom are unemployed or underemployed, maybe fresh out of high school and not on track to go to college. We give them the opportunity to train in relevant technology skills, gain industry-recognized credentials, and land their first tech job, with the goal being to build a tech career. So it's really great to watch individuals who come in with us and they go into either a 10-week or a 15-week training, and they start with zero knowledge and they come out earning, on average $32,000 to $35,000 a year, whereas before they may have been earning 9 or 10.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
No, that's awesome. So, and you're solving a big need. One, it's jobs for the minorities, because that's who we're trying to help. But companies really struggle to find good technology people, right? And here they're getting the certification that can get them a jump start. And as we talked about at length, there's a big disconnect oftentimes with big degrees and things like that with the needs of businesses. And you guys work closely with the business community to figure out some of those needs, correct? I mean, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, we have some great business partners who come in, and as we are vetting individuals and getting them onboarded into the training and then working with them over the 10 or 15 week period, we have companies that not only hire our students, but they come in during the training process. So they come in, they volunteer, facilitate, help us run mock interviews, review resumes, offer opportunities to host our students at their companies so that our students can see the environment that they would be working in and kind of learn a little bit about the culture and workplace norms. And they also look at our curriculum and help advise, hey, we can evolve it this way or make it more dynamic this way, or this is what we're talking about in the industry in terms of the skills that we're not seeing, so that we can partner together and ensure that the training stays relevant to the needs of the employer.
Right, okay. Well, let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's go to the website, because the website, it's a great website and it's a good place for anybody to start if they have an interest in this, right? So,
right.
So let's go to the website. And I'm going to just scroll down a little bit here. I mean, the first thing that I come across is applying. And so talk about that process, because you guys do a good vetting job. So what does that look like for folks?
Yeah, so every student that comes into Per Scholas, they start with applying on our website. And in that application, we ask you, of course, your demographic information. We check a little bit about kind of where you are income-wise, what your job history or work history has been, what your education level is. And that application comes straight to whichever site you are applying at. We are at 8 sites across the country right now. So each site has its own web page. So you would be on the Columbus page, and you would apply, and it comes straight to an email box for us, where our admissions manager then screens all of those applications. And then we invite you in for an information session, which is awesome because we tell you everything you need to know about Per Scholas.
How often do you have the information sessions?
Right now we do them twice a week.
Okay.
We do them on Tuesday mornings at 9:30, or
Okay.
we do them on Thursday afternoons at 1.
Okay.
And they usually last about 2.5 hours.
Okay.
And so you come in, you learn everything you need to know. We do a couple of assessments to see where you are in reading and math comprehension, because you need to be comprehending at a certain level to go through these accelerated courses. And once you hit that piece, then you're invited in for an interview. It's a panel interview. Sometimes it includes business people as well as our staff, instructors, our director of business solutions, who is responsible for finding the placements. And we take you through an interview process just to find out where you are. kind of what's going on with you and your background and life right now. Is this going to be a good time for you to go into training full time with no income and be committed to this process?
Right.
So we're asking all kind of key questions like that.
Right.
What's your support system like? How will you support yourself during training? Do you have reliable child care? Like all of these things that could hinder you. And then once you get past that, we say congratulations, you gained a seat in Per Scholas. Our training is valued at anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000, and it's at no cost to the person who gets accepted.
Right.
But those seats are very valuable,
Right.
right? And so we have a very strict, what we call the first week of training is zero tolerance. So you can't miss a day, you can't be late, you got to turn in all your assignments, or we will graciously ask you to come back when you're ready.
That's the first week. That's
the very first week.
Boot
And
camp.
we're starting new norms.
Yeah, right,
we are having to get people with new habits.
Right.
And a commitment level. And so once you get past that, we start right in with the curriculum that first week. You're learning. You're covering probably 3 to 4 chapters a day. You're doing simulation videos. You're doing homework at night. Soft skills training one full day a week. So
soft skills. Let's just hit on that for a
Yeah.
moment. So you're right. These a lot of folks, right, who haven't had full-time jobs and things like that with a corporation. So what is soft skills? I want to talk about that part of it. What are you teaching?
yeah, a lot of people talk about wanting to change that term. We call it career advancement or career development. But essentially, we're talking about you as an individual, how you show up in an environment, what you bring. Do you contaminate or do you complement the environment? How do you go in and work well with people? A lot of our jobs now are team. Very rarely are you going to get the luxury of having a job where you just go in, sit at your desk, put your headphones on and do your own work and you don't have to work with anyone else.
Right.
And so we talk a lot about team dynamics and culture and workplace norms and how do you show up in an environment knowing who you are and what you bring to the table, and then what is your vision, what's your career path. So everybody leaves there with an updated and new resume, an individualized career plan that says, this is where I want to take my tech career so that we can kind of help track you. And you also meet a ton of professionals and get a lot of exposure. And then the goal is that, we stay with our graduates for up to 2 years. The goal is that we watch you progress. You land that first job, then you land that second job, do a promotion, or you move around and you learn different things and get other certifications or go back to school for a degree through a partnership we have with Franklin University and a relationship we have with Columbus State. So, we just want to track and see kind of how you end up.
Sure.
And we have that data on hand to show individuals how individuals who go through Per Scholas actually do succeed.
Right. Well, and you need to track them, right? I mean, I'm impressed with how much you've talked about learning to teach, what it is that they really need to know. So in Columbus, we have one accreditation here, but in other areas, because we have 6 or 8 other locations? 8.
Mm-hmm.
8. They have different accreditations, right, that match up better with what the need is there. So, and we talked about a CompTIA is it's a good certification, but it's the first one, right? And it's a building block. So from there, hopefully, people will learn the skills to see it. So that's great. You track for 2 years. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
so,
we do.
So that's awesome. So let's look here. As I mentioned on the website, here, partner and donate. So we're talking about something that is a great service, and it is free to get people through this, but obviously it's not free. They don't have to pay any money, but there's a big cost to it. So if this is of interest to you, take a look at that. There's a lot of partnering that is going on. Columbus as a government and other corporations have a lot to do in this help. So that's awesome. As we come down, I want to, this will tell you, a little bit about what they do if you come to the website. And again, how to apply for the course. But here are the numbers I love to see. I mean, so these are across the country in the 8 locations. So the Columbus numbers may be a little different, but we that going in, an average income of $9,000. So these are folks probably that are doing part-time things and haven't found exactly what their vocation is, and yet they leave here is a total making an average of $36,000. That's 4 times. I mean, that's awfully. What a change that is for a lot of people.
Right.
Right, and that's just a start.
It's a game changer, and we like to talk about doing transformative work versus transactional. So it really is about transforming, and it really is about, if you support an individual in this way, you actually are impacting another 5 or 6 people because of family. And then you're impacting a community which means you're impacting the world, right? And so we kind of look at it as we're supporting an individual with getting the skills, but we think about all of the people that they support. And it is huge, and it's a game changer. And what I love about it is individuals learn so much about themselves during this process, and they come out seeing themselves better. Like, I really can do this, and wow, I did do this, and I did achieve this. So there's nothing I can't do, after doing this for, 10 or 15 weeks. And meeting all the people I've met, and then as a cohort, they become lifelong friends. And so there's this piece around creating economic mobility for individuals, and then sustainability. So this is not, shaky where we're going. These are the jobs of today and the jobs of the future, and these folks are set to and poised to be able to participate going forward in our workforce.
Right. Well, especially with technology, because as you pointed out, opened my eyes to say, if somebody's getting a 4-year degree, what they took as freshmen is probably obsolete a little bit as they go through the school. So just a little bit more, some good stories here on things. Sign up for the monthly newsletter. So I want to just come to about a little bit, because I think that's where I saw, right here we have the financials, and I didn't go through that. You could see all the supporters and things like that, but some more numbers here, and this is where I wanted to come. As we talked about, 20% of college students graduate within 3 years, right? And so, again, you're looking for a long-term goal, and I think that's terrific, but you can incorporate that and make this part of your building block, and then get your associate's degree, your bachelor's degree. But at least this helps you get into the workforce.
Right.
So let's talk about the graduates and stuff. I know. So what percent finished the course, and of those, what percent are we able to get work for?
Yeah. So our national numbers, of course, 85% completion rate. 85% of those who enroll, they do complete. We have very low attrition. In Columbus, it's around 95%. We really, as a cohort of 21, I'm typically graduating 19. Individuals on average. We lose a few soldiers, but not many, because people, once they come in, they're really, really committed. They see the benefit. Like I said, it's all about a timing thing of, is this the right time in your life? I can remember getting both of my degrees while working all day. I worked for state government and went to school at night. And so I really had to determine at one point, is this the right time for me to just focus and finish these degrees, which means what's going on in my life and in my background so that I can be successful in school and finish. And we talk to our students about that, like, what is going on right now for you? And would this be a good time for you to shut everything else down and focus for 3.5 months to get to...
A huge commitment.
It's a huge commitment, but it catapults you.
Right.
Into where you think you want to go. And so 85% on average complete our process. 80 of those that complete, 85% certified with at least one certification. And our job placement rate hovers right around 80 to 82%.
Yeah, which is incredible, right? And I just think of that, the commitment, because you don't know what's going to be coming up in the next 15 weeks, right? 4 months. And so to have that kind of a rate finishing shows a good vetting job, I think, to make sure. Something I like to point out, so being financial planners, student loan debt is a huge problem in this country. And it often is, it's pretty useless education. And I don't mean this, I use myself as an example. Got a bachelor's degree from Indiana, and I can't imagine how many of those classes were just useless to me, but that was to help pay for the university as opposed to very specific accreditation, So that's one of the reasons I think programs like this are a lot more useful, especially with technology, but I think we can paint a broader brush. Not everything as we talked about, right? I mean, the universities still have their place and such.
Yes.
So
we love our university and education partners because it gives our students some direction, right? And so even if you come to Per Scholas, when you create that individual career plan, we need to know where you want to go. Do you want to go a pathway in technology that's going to require you to have these degrees so that you can learn some concepts and some theory, especially if you want to lead people or lead large teams or lead initiatives? You may need to go and get your college degree in something that supports your certifications that you've learned. And then there's some students that say, well, I'm not necessarily trying to be a CIO, but what I do want to do is be able to move around in tech, and I want to design, the scenarios that go into virtual reality. Well, you need to take a look, because there may be some college courses or some certifications that you can get at some of our colleges and universities that will support you. It may not be a degree, but it could be a certificate, and you could keep stacking certifications to get the education that you need to be an actual technologist. And so I like to believe that, we can partner and give individuals options. And so I'm a fan of showing everyone what's available to them and having them choose their own path versus being prescriptive and say, you need to do this or you've got to do this.
Right.
So we need to learn to create options for people and show them how to leverage whatever path that they've decided to go on.
Well, and that is what is good about technology, right? You do have so many paths, and you do have so many different accreditations, and you can get a feel for what's good for you. The other part of financial planning, I always like to point out to people, because we touched on this a little bit, and I guess it's on, no, this is what I was looking for. When people tend to increase their income, and here fourfold, from a financial point of view, it can be an issue, right? It can be really long-term changing, or it can be people kind of doing the same old thing. Because I often have people who've really jumped up their income and have not saved anything extra. In other words, we call it income creep, right? They got more in their checking account, and now they're spending more in other places. But you guys are building out a program to be able to help people on that side of things too, correct?
Correct. So there has been a lot of conversation over the last several years about putting financial capabilities inside of workforce development programs, because what we were seeing across the country was that while we were creating pathways for individuals to grow their income, it wasn't moving the needle on their situation as much as we would have liked. And so when you dive deeper, you find out it's because of people and their relationship with money and their lack of understanding of how best to utilize those resources in a way that's going to move them forward versus pull them back. And so a while back, Per Scholas started a partnership with an organization, another nonprofit in New York called the Financial Clinic. And they did a study and kind of did some training of all of our site leaders around how you can embed financial capabilities inside of your model and your curriculum that you're teaching, so that people begin to think about, you're going to make new money, how will you use the money that you're going to make, and what are some of your financial goals that you can start at the outset planning to meet. If people have old debt they need to clear up, if you have old utility bills that are going to keep you from being able to move into another stable housing and get your utilities turned on, how can we start to manage and have a plan for clearing all of that, so that you can kind of get this clean financial slate at some point, that you're then moving to saving for your kids' college and purchasing your first home or getting a reliable transportation. So we do have financial coaches. We're in a partnership right now with the Financial Clinic, and we have a coach on site one day a week that can meet face with our students. They also do some education and light touch coaching around when's the last time you pulled your credit report?
Right.
Let's go over that. Do you need to file taxes if you haven't filed them in a couple of years? Let's get that cleared up. There's all these different things that people don't think about when they're focused on, I'm going to a training program, I'm getting skills, I'm going to get a job.
Right.
And so that's been very, very helpful. And our staff. We have access to, as a staff, we have access to their services as well. And so it's like everyone needs that reminder or that strategy or that structure around how they're going to handle their money.
Well, and folks that haven't had corporate jobs, even when you work for small companies, it's different, but you don't realize how much they're going to do a background check on you.
Oh,
you have to have they don't want people coming in that, have too many distractions going on in their life. The other aspect is with credit scores, people don't realize how much it costs them more for insurance, for instance, utilities, as we talked about. When you get a car loan, of course, a mortgage, those are huge, right? Those numbers can really add up, and people take it for granted. Their credit score is what their credit score is, but that's not the case. We can all be working on it, making it better. So anyway, so let me come back one, and then we could wrap it up here. In terms of raising the money and stuff, you don't have like any events, or do you have events that you have people come to or anything like that?
We're just starting with our events, and one of the things, we used to do events a long time ago, and for nonprofits, we can get in that loop, and it can be expensive to put the event on and not necessarily yield the return that you need it to yield. And so sometimes the organization can fall into somewhat of a deficit trying to attract new donors or attract awareness of their mission. And so, and thinking about fun and creative ways to support this community, because we already have great support by a lot of different funders in the community. We are a nonprofit, so we are a United Way funded agency. We have an amazing partnership with the Columbus Foundation, who supports our work. Franklin County Department of Economic Development Planning. We have some family foundations like the Seymour Foundation and Motorist Insurance, and just a ton of people. Wilson Sheehan, they've been amazing. They gave us a huge investment in 2018 to be able to grow and scale.
I know you're trying to think of all of them right
now.
No,
it's not. But I'm just thinking about the folks that really have undergirded our work. So what we didn't have a handle on was how do we get individuals into our work. And so we came up with an event. My Cincinnati counterparts, they were doing an event called Toss for Tech. And it's a cornhole competition. Okay. Which I don't know if you knew this, but there's an American Cornhole Association.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And they do regulation tournaments. And so last year we had our first Toss for Tech partnered at the Bogey, and it was so much fun. And it was an event where we raised awareness about Per Scholas and what we do, but people had fun and engaging. You came, you ate great food, you had great drinks, you had this competition, your friends made a team. So we're doing that again this year in the fall, in September.
And so if we belong to your newsletter, we're going to learn all that, right?
Correct.
We follow you on Twitter.
And follow us. Yes, you will learn all about
Facebook.
Toss for Tech.
Yeah.
Our new one, though, that we're doing in May around the Muirfield tournament is Tee Up for Tech.
Okay.
So we're having a reception at Tartan Golf Course in Dublin during the Muirfield, and we're so excited about that. It's just going to be like 9 holes of putt-putt and a golf simulator and great food. So we are trying to find creative ways to engage our audiences and share our mission with them, but also allow them the ability to network with each other. The tech community is a very, very close-knit community, and this is how careers are launched and opportunities in new businesses are started, is in this organic way where you just call a bunch of people together who all have this interest in this love of technology. So we want to invite individuals that we know to learn more about Per Scholas and how they can support the next wave of technologies coming into the workforce.
Well, how many full-time employees do you have right now?
Right now I have 6. That's going to grow by the end of the year because we are scaling. For 2020, we're going to grow the number served. But right now I have 6, and we have some open positions actually on our website right now. Okay,
so there you go for that too. So now you can currently, overlapping a little bit, 2 classes next year, a 50% increase really, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of needs. I mean, we have a lot of great causes that come in there, you know, but I'll just say I'm impressed with how much you have a good understanding of your students, what their needs are, and what the business community needs. And that really is what it takes to make this work. So this weekend we're going to be at Give Back Hack. And I don't know if you know what that is. Are you familiar with it? Okay. So, you know, just trying to find ways to, through technology, to be able to help people. And this is just a great, I'm glad we came across you and found this. So.
Yeah, I'm glad too. And thank you so much for the opportunity and the invitation. Anytime we can shine a light on our work and our students, most especially, like we just graduated 36 people a couple of weeks ago. We have a class of 21 in now. I mean, we're turning.
Is it graduation? I mean, what?
We have a graduation. I mean, they invite family and friends.
That's awesome.
We invite employers. We take pictures. They get a certificate from Per Scholas and gifts, and we have cake and punch. It's a real. We have a speaker that usually comes out and gives great words of support and inspiration. So it's a really great time to celebrate and see people celebrating major accomplishments. Some folks have never done anything this big before, and so their families are right there cheering them on. So.
I think most people go through their lives without doing anything this intensive, right? I mean, even a 4-year degree, I mean, you've got a lot of leisure time going for a 4-year degree. This is very intensive,
it's
and
very
most
intense.
people never enjoy that. So, anyway, well, thank you, Toni, for coming out. It's been a great conversation. So, everybody, have a great weekend, and we will see you next Friday. Thanks again.